Welcome to the Comfortable in Chaos Podcast. Strangle your demons and let's go.
Y'all need Jesus!
Oh, life, it's bigger. It's bigger than you, and you are not me. The lengths that I will go to, the distance in your eyes. Oh no, I've said too much. I set it up. That's me in the corner. That's me in the spotlight, losing my religion. Trying to keep up with you. Welcome to the Comfortable in Chaos Podcast. I am your host, Eric Hellberg, and you know we're like Einstein over here, man. We have no special talents. We're just passionately curious about all things pertaining to man. How in the hell did we get here, and where is it that we want to go, man? My gosh, I tell you what, summer is fleeting. It's almost over. Are we at the halfway point? Damn it, I don't even know. But I know pretty soon my son will be starting the 9th grade. I'll be moving my daughter over to another college in early August. But I can't keep up with it all. I think that he took honors U.S. history. I have to look at his report card that's up on the refrigerator. But can you imagine? He goes into 9th grade, and he goes into U.S. history, and they're like, hey, can any of you guys in class here name the 3 branches of U.S. government? And he's my son, so what's he going to say? Yes, ma'am, teacher. The 3 branches of government are corporations, pedophiles, and the media. That's going to go over real well. And you know what? The teacher may actually believe that, but she's not allowed to say it. So I'll let you choose. I'll let you decipher, is the corporation, is that the, the legislative branch? Is the media the judicial branch? Is the pedophiles the executive branch? We just don't know at this point. And then to go back to that debate, and of course I mentioned our 800 bases, but I'm voting for President Trump. I think that he can help us get this battleship turned around, and damn it, he needs to bring General Flynn into that administration. That's what cooked the whole damn thing. That is what cooked the whole damn thing. And what got me thinking? I remember Lindsey Graham. Good old Lindsey Graham. And of course, he comments all the time, I've worn the uniform of this great nation 30-something years. You were a JAG officer, Lindsey Graham. We get it, and we are thankful for your service. I am sure you have done some outstanding work in your representative abilities for the United States military. And we know that one of your buddies was John McCain. And John McCain, there's been so much flack over what Trump supposedly said back in the day. You have to look at the manner in which a person speaks. You have to understand what it is that they actually mean, and you will not get there if you do not know the person. You also have to look, where is it that they came from? How did they learn to communicate with the environment that they were steeped in? But Lindsey Graham, I remember him in 2015. He called Trump an asshole. He called Trump a jackass. He said he was xenophobic, homophobic, Islamophobic, every type of phobia that you could imagine. But at the same time, he was running for office then. He didn't get much traction. But I'm going to tell you that Lindsey Graham is part of the big establishment. Oh, yeah, 100%. And he's still in there talking shit. But, if you look at one of his recent tweets, he just said that President Trump's the only guy, and he has his full support. He endorses him. And he's one of the only guys that he believes can turn this country around. He used to be so profoundly against him and name-calling, but now he believes he's the only dude for the job. Isn't that American politics? But really, Lindsey Graham and John McCain, and look, John McCain, another officer, right? How could our venerated officers from the U.S. military become so abjectly deprived and absolutely nutso? Check your archives. Get online. That's what everyone does these days. You'll find Lindsey Graham and John McCain with ISIS fighters. They never had a war they didn't appreciate and or like. And you would think John McCain, when he saw the horrors of war, of course, I don't know if we have a living serviceman who has ever crashed as many planes as John McCain. I don't know if we had, and of course he has passed away. May the Lord guide his soul. And maybe he is in eternal rest with the Lord. That I don't know. I never knew John McCain. But I can tell you, if he didn't have two flag officers as a dad and another flag officer as a grandfather, that I believe it was the USS Forrestal, when he crashed on top deck of that carrier and almost set the whole damn aircraft carrier ablaze, killing thousands, everyone else would have been forcibly retired, but John McCain lived on, and had he not had the opportunity to live on and pursue his career and pursue flying, he probably never would have ended up as a prisoner of war. Now, I can tell you what he endured over there was probably monstrous, and he also, because of who he belonged to, had an opportunity to be released early, which he flatly declined. And you can never give that man enough credit for that. Never. But something happened to John McCain once he came home, once he got into office. And I am going to tell you that our political establishment and the American culture that breathes life and breathes into the political establishment will change you. It doesn't matter how principled you are. And just like that song by R.E.M., Losing My Religion, it'll pull out your soul. It'll pull it right out from under you, even without you realizing it. One little fudge here, one little movement there, and he's got you. That meaning the devil. And we talked about the devil in the last episode. He is ingenious, but he hides himself under the things that we perceive as good here in America, does he not? Oh, yes, he does. So John McCain gets in there. My God, these were two of the biggest proponents of going after Assad, and they still are. Of course, John McCain has since passed away, but Lindsey Graham is still war hawking over there on the Hill. And now we know that we're using kids to try to fight Assad. Man, I tell you, that's some wonderful American diplomacy. Thank you, Lindsey Graham, and thank you, John McCain. Going back to that debate as well, I mean, my God, man. I mean, I know Trump was playing it cool. He really didn't want to say too much. He really didn't want to get demonstrative. He really did not want to be portrayed as an angry man. He's gone through enough. I get all that, and I think behind the scenes he is probably brilliant. But the rhetoric we had to listen to, you are a convicted felon. Oh, you're a criminal. No, your son's a convicted felon. Okay, you'll be a convicted felon as soon as you get out of office. You're a loser. You had sex with a porn star, and your wife was pregnant. It was like a sleazy reality show between, and now I know that President Trump in his own right is nimble. I also know that he is capable, and I also know that he is prodigious in his work ethic. But you really were looking at two mad old guys there that dislike one another. So almost like a debate between two potential geriatric patients. Just one who's grumpy and another who has dementia. And what I am going to tell you is it's almost like maybe America has become geriatric. You remember my quote from John Adams, and he says democracies commit suicide, and I mean, go back to that movie, The Deer Hunter, man, right? Robert De Niro, they've captured him. They're playing Russian roulette, man. He just keeps loading friggin' bullets in there. They think the dude is off the chain, man. But he loads them up, takes a chance at blowing his brains out, and then he summarily executes those guys as he makes his escape. But I think America may in fact be geriatric. And it is time for a youthful resurgence. Did you know that in 1980, nobody in the USSR would have predicted the fall of their system? Now, we know what occurred in the 90s. The only difference between the Soviet Union and the USA is that the latter, meaning the Soviet Union, will not dismantle itself peacefully. The extraordinary combination of hubris, meaning ego and greed among the oligarchs. And I'm not talking about Russia. I'm talking about America. Their greed and their ego, their hubris, their belief that for some reason we are better than other people in the world will be a formidable hurdle to any peaceful negotiation anywhere in the world under any type of new security architecture. They just can't stand it. And I will tell you this too. I already did an episode a long time ago how Yeltsin came to power in Russia. He was an American puppet. If you don't believe me, much like Zelensky, Time magazine did an article how the Clinton administration helped to put in Boris Yeltsin. We wanted him in there. We wanted Russia currying favor to the United States. That's why we're so damn mad at Putin. He went an entirely different direction because Russia did not fall until it integrated corporate capitalism and also brought us in, just like Clinton's advisors, so that Russia could become more like us. And it was uncontained. They had never had it before. And they ran that country into the ground. And I'm going to tell you that Russia had a little bit of help in the 90s to fall apart from your good old United States. They were at the cliff, and we gave them one hellified push. And going back to Lindsey Graham, I read an article in Defense magazine. Imagine two of your long-standing senators on the Senate Armed Forces Services Committee. And you know they're going to sit down. If you pull up an issue of the Defense magazine, oh yeah, you'll have interviews like McCain and Graham. But all it is advertisements for weapon systems, platforms, things to use in the theater of war. And no one has allowed the expenditure of more funds on that sort of thing than those two senators. But Graham would always say, you know, we've got to give women equality in the Middle East, and we need to help them build schools and tend to the sick. And motherfucker, what about equality and financial considerations here in this country? What about taking care of people here? I'm going to tell you, you always hear racism, he's a racist, he's a Klansman, he's a this and that. That's all bullshit. I'm going to call that entrenched racism. That's what you need to be worried about. Hey, Al Sharpton, go worry about the defense establishment, because by continually occupying all these places on the globe, remember the 800 bases? That is entrenched racism, because you think you can subjugate these people around the world to American ideals, although their countries are prolifically older than we have ever even begun to be. But we think that we can go in and plunder them of their resources, bomb them into oblivion, take charge, and we would not do that unless we thought that we were better than them. That is your entrenched racism and imperialism that lies at the foundation of the psyche of the Anglo-American establishment. And I am going to tell you that we will intensely resist accepting Asia as the new center of global power. And in fact, the epicenter of prosperity and influence could be Eurasia. It could even be Europe, provided it manages to free itself from American domination. That is racism. And Lindsey Graham went on to say, Trump is an asshole because he wants to secure our border. And I know 99% of all Muslims are good. That's bullshit, Lindsey. They are not. And he said his rhetoric is emboldening our enemies. And that's going to make them want to attack us. They weren't worried about that when you and John McCain took pictures with them and promised them money and promised them arms. And we're still continuing that fight to this day. If you two damn old codgers can go there unabated, but they knew they could get something out of you. You want me to tell you what has emboldened the Islamic community in the world? We won't get we won't get the F out of there. I'm only going to allow people in my house for so damn long. They want us the hell out of there. That's what emboldened our enemies. And you know, as Americans, we are very terrible with history. We certainly are trying to rewrite it. But we think we're unique. And we think the American century will last forever. But just like that geriatric patient, you can say Biden that was up on that stage, we will not last forever. All empires rise and fall. More illuminating is the fact that all empires follow quite identical paths of growth, decay, and death. Remember John Adams? Democracy ends up committing suicide. All you have to do, if you are willing to do so, is read about the Egyptian, the Roman, the Greek, the Chinese, the Indian, the Spanish, the Dutch, Portuguese, French, German, and the British empires. And you will find stunning similarities. We need a change. We need to take this country back. And I'm going to tell you this. And you can tell me if you see that as what we are entertaining right now. In those final stages, after growth, decay, and death, tell me if you don't find a breakdown of morality and purpose, whereas before that united the nation. Then our rulers, you know what they do? They encourage degeneracy and hedonism. Why? To distract the masses. Then debt explodes. Productivity and competitive advantage plummet. Inequality becomes striking. Aren't we there? Patriotism loses its appeal. And civil war looms on the horizon. At this point, disciplined and determined rivals, aka China, aka Russia, emerge to challenge and eventually defeat the empire. Did you know we thought that India was kind of creeping into the corners of Russia and China's influence? So, oh yeah, Blinken was dispatched over there too, but Modi told him to go to hell. He says, I'm not taking the American bait. And as soon as I get reelected again, I am going to set up a conference with Vladimir Putin. And we know they just signed a transnational security and trade agreement. That's 1 billion other plus people. And when these determined rivals emerge to challenge, they will eventually defeat the empire. You think because we can print trillions of phony dollars through our central bank that Thomas Jefferson said was more ominous and deleterious than any standing army on earth? And he vehemently was against that European model. That's why we came here. And he worked with the French. He knew. He knew about the French Revolution. You think because we can print all that money, and you think that a stealth bomber can launch from Alamogordo, New Mexico, be refueled in air, and then deliver its ordnance somewhere in the Middle East against people running around with headscarves and AK-47s, that we are somehow better and or somehow dominant? We are starting to rattle our saber with people that can wipe our ass off the map, and no one is talking about it. Moreover, no one is talking about leaving that shit alone, and let's just focus on taking care of our own citizenry. So where do we go? Here is where we go. We go to the Bible. We go to Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 14. For the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. Let me ask you, man. You ever felt stuck on the hamster wheel of life? Huh? Chasing after empty promises and fleeting dreams? That's our America. That's where they want us. Scrambling, running round and round and round while they pilfer, steal, and kill. Just like the devil who prowls around like a roaring lion, right? Habakkuk was a man of God. He saw this too. He saw people exhausting themselves for things that would ultimately burn up or fade away or burn themselves up. And that's what our leaders want. Let's learn this stuff, man. Let's talk about it to other men. Find the men that you can do this with. And I want every one of these mother elected officials, when they see us coming, they fear that. They know there is an accounting, and we will keep doing that until we usher this current menagerie of mother out the door and we start something new. And I'm going to tell you that President Trump believes in this country. He believes in its people. Let's start right there. November is right around the corner. So until next time on the Comfortable in Chaos podcast, I bid you bon voyage, my burgeoning flock.
Until next time, like and subscribe to the Comfortable in Chaos podcast.